The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. This is Steve and Terry, and we're here in a belated way to our July e-learning, which is entitled Look Up. We're glad that you could join us. And again, for those that haven't heard our August message, just wanted to let you know that we're grateful for the thoughts and prayers and grateful that you understood that we had to postpone and record later this Look Up message due to emergency situation in Terry's family with her brother, and all's going well now, so thank you so much. And we're ready to get started. Today's message is Look Up, and I think it comes really how we think that right now society is having, we're all having, and myself included, having trouble looking up from our desks, from our devices, our iPhones, our iPads, our Androids, all of those things, looking up and actually seeing the guest. So without further ado, Terry, let's get started.
Well, I think when we look at this message, you said this years ago, people need to look up and have the commitment to be present to being there. And I think this all started when we were studying, Pike's Fish Market, am I saying that right? And
yes.
And the fish video talked about playing with the guest and be there with the guest, and I forget some of the other things, but the be there really made an impact on me. That's the one that I remember the most. And even when, I don't care if I'm in the grocery store, on an airplane, or talking to one of our teammates, the last thing I want to do is to give them any indication that I'd rather be somewhere else. And right now, when you think about the reality checks of today, we're in a society that has lost interest in face-to-face contact. I mean, to sum it up, I think probably the best answer to this is parents who call their children's phone and they won't answer, but if they text their children, they'll respond. And they can be in the same house and they're going to call their children on the phone or text their children to join them for dinner. I mean, I think about the way we were raised. That would have lasted at our house about maybe 2 seconds. And if you weren't at the table when she called the first time, you didn't eat. I mean, it was as simple as that. And she wasn't going to chase anyone to honor the time she put into making the dinner and going to all the effort to have people disrespect and not show up, or like our daughter says, what did you make tonight? And you think, really? I mean, we didn't have options growing up. And we never had a pantry. Did you have a pantry, Steve? We didn't have one. It was the cupboards. And there was never anything in it, and we didn't snack growing up, and you didn't just go into the refrigerator once the day was over. I mean, it was, these are the meals you're going to eat, and you're going to eat as a family, and end of conversation. And now it seems like our lives are fast service, just like drive-thrus. Families have become drive-thrus to each other versus fine dining, and that's what's difficult. Now, take that message and say, how does that affect the cultures that we're creating in our businesses? How does that create relationships with our teammates? How does that create relationships with our front desk staff when we don't want to spend time communicating with people? It's really, really tough to understand the influence it has. So when you look at it, and people appear to rather be somewhere else. And when they're at work, they'd rather be somewhere else. They'd rather be on their phone. They'd rather be in the back room. They tell people, I'd rather be somewhere else. And they're looking bored now. They're looking down. They'd rather be communicating with a screen. They'd rather know about other people's lives and managing their own. They're lacking the social skills to be exciting and to create a relationship, an honest relationship with someone. People question people's if they're genuine or not, or their authenticity. And the biggest one that I'm finding is that people are lacking eye contact. And how do we do that? When you don't have, in this business is entertainment, no question. You've got to be able to romance and be someone that's captivating and at least somewhat interesting for a minimum of 45 minutes. And if you can't do that, you're going to have difficulty professionally, socially, and just genuinely being comfortable in your own skin. So let's talk about what connection creates and what the word connection means. I mean, if you think about connection, if you take two cords and put them together in an extension cord, that connection is going to create electricity, or it should. And that's what connection creates. It creates this energy that's noticeable. That's when connection's really taking place. And when it's flatline, I mean, I've walked into meetings with our staff and I've said, listen, I mean, you need to bring the energy up because we all look bored. We all act like we don't want to be here right now. We're certainly not committed to everybody else's opinions and thoughts, and we better bring our energy up. And it's so funny because the first thing that they'll do is everyone always sits up straight, like that's going to create connection. Well, at least that got their attention. Now, how do we become genuinely connected to everything and everyone around us? So what does it create?
Well,
Steve, go ahead.
When I think of the word connection, I've always believed that hairdressers and people in general support what they feel connected to. I think that if you have a salon that is not fully supporting the take-home brands that you have on the shelf, it's nothing more than a lack of connection that the stylists feel to that brand. And connection can take place on many different levels. But that it takes place is absolutely critical. Connection to your culture, connection to your vision, connection to your mission, connection to the talent level that is required in your business and in your salon, connection to each other. That energy. What does a multi-person salon have? A traditional salon have that's so magical? It's the connection of the team that's underneath that roof that is all about the right intention and the right creativity. And so when I think of connection, I also sometimes interchange the word relationship. Connection is about the relationship that you have with that other thing,
or
with that other brand, with that other person.
If you said to someone, what is your favorite store? And they could say The Gap or Old Navy or Banana Republic, and all of those are under the same umbrella. You could say, what's your favorite restaurant? And they could say, oh my God, I love the Cheesecake Factory. The next question that you need to ask after they state who they're connected to, whether it's fashion, an actor or actress in Hollywood, type of movies, they might like dramas, ask the question, why? And when they give the answer, that's exactly what we're trying to create in the customer's mind's eye of us. It's exactly what we're trying to create. And it's funny because connection, true connection, creates trust and loyalty. Now, I'm a Meryl Streep fan. If she's in something, I sit up and usually will say, I've got to see that. So it creates loyalty. I want to be around things that she does. I'm a Barbra Streisand fanatic, so I want to be involved in everything she does. So when I think about that, do I have that same commitment to the brands that we represent under the PSC umbrella? And if not, I'm doing something wrong. I better honor Paul Mitchell the way I honor Streisand and Davines and Z1 and Ruzel and Flo. They better all have my mind's eye like Streisand has my mind's eye.
Well, I think that there's no doubt that again, we trust what we feel connected to. Loyalty, I don't think that automatically loyalty comes as a result of connection, but it can't happen without connection. I don't think that there's any way possible we can be loyal to something without that connection. Common ground, connection just kind of outlines what the common ground is. And I think that it's all of this thing called connection comes from looking up and seeing what's possible, seeing and listening and being present to conversations, being intentional on creating memories that are as a result of those connections. So again, this is a little bit of one of those touchy-feely kind of topics, but the absence of it is stark.
Well, the
absence
is obvious.
That's what we have right now, really, by and large. I know I told a story earlier about going through a Starbucks and not being even acknowledged. Well, that's every day that I go through McDonald's for the kids. They don't even make an effort in most
They
cases
go every day
to talk to you. Yeah, the kids go every day. I get their usual happy meal, honey mustard sauce, root beer,
yes.
apples.
Well, what's funny about it is, but how often do they say welcome back? Never.
Not only they don't say welcome back, and say hello or thank you.
Well, and so
they're
in
on to the
that
next thing.
situation, the food, the fries and the nuggets have created the connection more than the business has. And the people had a chance to really make it be a home run. And wow, they lost. They fell short of that. Because someone could say, Jack, how are you, buddy? Here's your honey mustard. If they really were paying attention and realized we had a regular. You know, it's funny, years ago, and this is 23 years ago now, we were building our home in Shorewood, and we were living in Naperville at the time. And on the way home from PSC, we would go to a Chili's in Naperville. And we were probably there, I would say, minimum of 3 or 4 nights a week. It was easy, it was fast, it was hot food, and we liked their nachos and their quesadillas, and we would stop on the way home. The same hostess would see us 3 or 4 times a week, and she never said hello to us or treated as if she ever had seen us before. And the only thing she'd say is, how many? Smoking none, because it was still smoking was available in some sections of the restaurant back then. Now, how do you in your right mind not say, oh, you two again, even if she didn't like us? Okay, it's ding and dong are coming in. How are you two? Get in here. Your nachos are ready. If you have to use humor to create connection, but to absolutely not say anything at all, as if we are not a regular in that business, supporting that business, he'd almost have to say, listen, don't fight. We just want the nachos. Don't fight tonight. Don't get in a bad mood over her. But I couldn't believe her lack of attention and her, to me, disrespect to the 2 regulars that would walk in 3 or 4 nights a week. And certainly she didn't create any memories. If anything, she created negative ones.
Well, we're still talking about her.
Well, we're still talking about it. So pay attention factor. What does that mean? Is that you look up, you absolutely look up, and your eyes are ready to jump and do something if the business needs it. If you're called upon, you're already halfway there because you're already looking up. And you're going to see what is needed. I start looking up when I get out of the car in the parking lot. I'm looking up to see what is around the parking lot that could be adjusted. What weeds need to be pulled, what garbage needs to be moved, what picnic table isn't in the right place because someone moved it over the weekend, what paint needs to be touched up. Already looking up to make it better, to plus what we already have in place and to protect what is. If we don't look up, we're going to lose ground. So we have to look up and see what is needed. And then where can I jump in? There's times that you can have someone absolutely buried at the front desk, and 2 hairdressers will walk by and just walk away versus saying, how can we help? It's obvious when the front desk needs some extra love and attention. My sister always says they're donkeys on the edge. And yet we would rather go hide in a powder room than see what we could do to help that individual at the front. And even if it is, I know you guys are buried, let me entertain up here until you get through this busy cycle. But pay attention isn't only about connecting with the guest, it's about connecting to that fellow teammate so they know you've got their back. That team atmosphere is also very obvious when it's present and very obvious when it's flatline. We were watching Cole's team play, and I think I've said this on another message before, but they're playing baseball. Playing baseball. Something I wish I could still do to this day. And here they look like they're bored out of their minds. And I'm hoping the phones weren't in the dugout. But their team atmosphere, I yelled out, "Code Blue." Like, you guys are flatline. This is absolutely like watching paint dry. And I thought, you're playing a game. And here we're in the beauty industry, having fun, being able to have conversations all day, to take them on a journey of giving them more confidence. And people look like they'd rather be somewhere else? That's not good. What I love about pay attention factor is it also creates offensive and defensive possibilities. Offensive is let me share with you what that hairspray does and why it's in our top 5 SKUs in the whole business. This is constantly and continuously a guest favorite of ours and a staff's favorite to boot, right? Another one is we're out of that product at the stations. We've got to pull this off of our stations today because we don't have it to sell up front. So defensive possibilities is all about paying attention. If we're out of a color, how are we going to defend what we have in place right now? Another defensive possibility is knowing that is when you absolutely are committed to each other and this team and these guests, your intentions usually don't have to be questioned because it's obvious. And your defensive possibilities are protecting the intentions and the systems that you have in place. So where is energy needed? When is it time to call timeout? I love going to athletic events or watching sports at home on television with Steve because he'll say, well, the wheels are falling off. They better call timeout right now. We need to regroup, get back on the same page, take a deep breath, maybe make a pitching change, maybe have that front desk person go to the back for a moment and I'll step in. When do we need to call timeout and where is energy needed right now? For example, when you run out of water, we don't roll our eyes. We say, oh, allow me to get that for you. Where is energy needed? And we create an us and them with the front desk because we don't jump in and help them. That creates an us and them versus saying, oh, here comes Mary. I know she's going to say, what can she do to help us? What do you want to say on this, Steve? Because you witness this at the school environment all the time, especially with the age group that we're trying to teach to have pay attention and to look up.
Well, I do think a lot of it comes down to energy, and I think that people don't have high pay attention factor naturally. It has to be nurtured. There are very few. I can't say that all people don't, but there are very few that have a high pay attention factor naturally. It has to be part of the culture of the business that we are going to look up and see the guests, that we are going to create and honor that team atmosphere, that we are going to look for opportunities. It's almost like you wish the business could have a 5-hour energy. There's a lot made about these energy drinks from people. Mm-hmm. You'd almost love to be able to pour a bottle of it on the business because, you know what? It's one of those things that you don't always see. You don't even see. You can all be in the same business and not see that the energy has gone out of the business and that you need that something that creates a jolt to bring it back and mm-hmm. to go back to what we agreed on and why we came together. And, I had lunch with a couple of people today that just absolutely are on fire for hairdressing and the beauty industry and giving back and making sure that they put the right energy in always. And I think that it's just I admire it so much. And yet, the key is young people starting out in the business, they can have it, but it's almost like they carry around the energy waiting for someone to take it away, and then they have no idea how to get it back. And that's the struggle sometimes. I spoke with one of our young leaders in the school business today, and and she's so frustrated because she said to me, Steve, I think I've lost the trust of my people, and I think that they want to say that everything is my fault. Everything that's wrong around here becomes my fault. And what I really believe is that as a leader, they're right. I'd rather have everyone thinking that it's their fault, so to speak, and that it's theirs to bring up the energy and it's theirs to turn it around, than have people looking to blame it on someone else. And while the staff may be blaming it all on that person, the fact of the matter is somebody's got to say, okay, the buck stops here, and we're going to make sure that if we have to dump this 5-hour energy over the business, and we have to start taking responsibility, all of us, all the time. I'm going to lead that charge, and we're going to make this thing happen just like we said we would. And that's maybe what the timeout is about. The timeout, as much as anything, is to restate the vision of your company, to restate the mission of your company, and to embrace and patch the people up that work in it and kick them back into the game, and with all of the fire and energy that's possible.
Well, I don't even think some people know the negative energy that they put out. I mean, there is positive energy, and there's also negative energy. I mean, you can have someone that's very, very high energy, but everything is negative. And I was talking to my best friend today, and she had dinner with someone last night, and she said, Terry, I couldn't wait to get in the car. I mean, I could not believe that she thought that was an evening out. It was such miserable conversation for an hour and a half that I cut the evening short and said, good night, thank you, yeah, okay, bye. And she said, I got in the car and thought, God bless you. God bless you for thinking that was entertainment, because that was miserable. And she said, I don't want to be around anyone that has that kind of negativity. I don't want to be around it. But see, here's the thing. What is negative energy? Sometimes negative energy can be just the way you walk across a room. Negative energy could be your eyes light up when a guest walks in. Energy could be lack of manners. We don't even say thank you. We just walk in silence. You've got people that walk in our businesses and don't even say good morning. I don't get that. I don't even know how you walk in your home and not say, hi, I'm home. I mean, my mother, if you don't do that, I mean, she's mad the rest of the night. Now, she lives with us now. And I'm very, very conscientious that when I walk in, I say, you, hello, mother. Because if you don't do that, she perceives that at her age as being deliberately rude. So when you look at people walking in the business, either staying on their phone or looking down and not saying good morning, well, yeah, we're with each other 5 days a week, and we're with each other more than we are with the people that we live with, but it still requires manners and positive energy, not negative. And I don't know if you've got some people on staff that I can usually tell when my phone rings and I see it's them and I go, oh God, what now? That's probably telling me something. There's a show that we watch, and it's called Blue Bloods, and we have all 125 some episodes recorded. And I watch them every night, and I just love how they talk about the commitment to being a cop and how much your life is on the line. And every day you have no idea what you're going to encounter. Every day is a surprise. For firemen, too. They have no idea what they're walking into today. And they've got to be ready for anything. So if they're having a bad day and it's a 5-alarm fire, who cares? And they're not going to stand in the parking lot and talk about it. They've got to fix the fire. Yet we will have this kind of energy and have people stay in the same spot of negativity for hours where it affects our business. And they don't even look up. They don't even see that other people, they can't look up so much that they don't even see people are not even interested in what they're talking about. That's what amazes me. So, what do we do about it? How do we create an environment that gives off so much steam and energy? Well, you've got some things that you need to talk about, and one of them is what kind of presence do we have, and the presence disciplines. I mean, when we think about someone walking in the door, I know all of you have done it too. You look at the applicant that you're going to interview, and the first thing you want to see is their presence that they have. Are they sitting in a chair all hunched over looking at their phone? Is their head up? Are they looking around? Are they nodding and making eye contact with our team while they're walking around? Is our team saying hello to them and making them feel welcome? And are we friendly? What are the presence disciplines? One of them is keep your head up, make eye contact, and present oneself with confidence. I don't think the people in the Disney World parade, any of them have their head down. They're all making eye contact, and they were told, make eye contact with the crowd. This is their favorite part. And present your character to the crowd watching. And work that crowd and work that room and engage people in the parade. That's exactly, those are all presence disciplines of exactly how you want to bring people into your arena. Years ago, we took our whole staff down. I believe it was our 15-year anniversary, and we took our whole staff down. One week it was half of us, the other week it was the other half, and the entire company was together on the weekend. And while we were there, everyone wanted Steve and I to go on the water rides, which that in itself is crazy. And we got on the water ride, and it was hot, and we were in line for probably almost 2 hours. And we got to the top, and all of a sudden the ride broke down. And I'm hot. I didn't want to do it anyway. I looked at Steve like, are you serious? We just waited on this hot wood ladder for 2 hours, and now it's broken? Without hesitation, the Disney employees went right into an entertainment so we'd forget about the ride breaking down. And they had a stack of 10 or 12 buckets right up there at the top. And the water was still running. It's just the ride was down for a moment. And they started filling the buckets up with water and throwing it on all the people in line, and started singing Disney music. And I don't remember the ride, but I remember the positive experience we had when the ride broke down. And that is creating a discipline to work the crowd, work the room, have fun with the audience. Don't let the negative situation beat us. Keep our head up, make fun, have fun, and engage the people around us. That should be our mission every day, not just when a ride breaks down. Our mission every day. And I love that they thought about how are we going to respond if something should happen. We have long lines. We know that. How are we going to respond to make this a positive experience? I mean, we run out of color, or color doesn't turn out, or we're overscheduled, or a guest is late, or we don't like someone at the front, or someone's not trained properly and they scheduled poorly. And we want to talk about that versus how to turn a negative into a positive. And that's something that most businesses are guilty of, most businesses. But if we teach them, this is what our guests expect from us, this is the non-negotiable on our side, and how we're going to create this kind of service provider character to the public, that's very positive in itself.
Mm-hmm. And that really was, the Disney thinking in advance. I love, they're famous for their parades, but they're also famous for their rainy day parades.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that they've thought in advance that the worst thing that could happen when you're at Disney is that it rains. And they've gone out of their way to create a spectacular rainy day parade, not only to make it memorable, but to make it fun for the people, as fun as it can be when it's raining in Florida. They know the rain's not going to last indefinitely. They know it's going to just rain for a period of time, and then it dries up and gets humid and whatnot. But they made the effort to plan for the exception, and I think that's what the people did. The young people did on the ride, also at the water park. They planned for the exception. Mechanical things are going to break down. What do we do? So knowing that mechanical things don't always break down in the salon, but what are things that are breakdowns in the salon that happen And have we thought in advance how to respond? Have we thought in advance how to still make it a wow and make it memorable for the guest?
Okay, so we're going to lean in. Steve?
I think, what I think of when I see this is that lean in is kind of the opposite of looking down. It's the opposite of stepping away and saying, hey, that's not my department, or that's not me. Lean in is leaning in to participate, leaning in to engage. To me, if you're talking even with one other person and they're leaning back in the chair with their legs up, you take that as insincere and not listening and not participating, not engaged. We lean in with our whole bodies, and that lean in also, because we're one of the few of God's creations that when we lean in or when we meet someone, our hearts are exposed. The great mighty lion, their head covers their heart, so that in battle their head would be, they could take an injury to their head and survive, but an injury to their heart, they would be in huge trouble. Well, that's the same thing with human beings. God made us so that we lead with our heart exposed. That means, to me, we're supposed to be in relationships. We're supposed to be in, and I don't mean the intimate relationships that couples or partners have. I mean just relationships in general. The choice to participate, and to participate in all of the relationships in the salon. It's been proven that the more relationships, the more people that a guest knows in the salon, the less likely they are to ever leave the salon. Whereas if we allow just one relationship to take place in that salon, and that one person leaves, so does the guest. And so it's a choice. Leaning in is a verb, meaning it's action. And you have to physically and mentally make the decision to do that.
So relationships in the salon. Let's go through these. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, salon guests. I think that's the obvious one. Certainly we're responsible for that relationship with the guest. Everyone's Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to add that sometimes, well, and maybe even oftentimes, we have a more commitment to looking up to our guests than we do to everyone else on this list. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, in relationship, it's weird. Here we are, encouraging everyone, using the word relationship with a salon guest, and at the same time, if you've heard other programs that Terry and I have done, we say that it's a friendly business, but the guest is not your friend. Friendship and relationship are two clearly different things. I have a relationship with my doctor. I have a relationship with my attorney. I have a relationship with our banker, but they're not friendships. Relationship is you're paying for their time. I have friends, you don't pay for their time. And so that relationship, that professional relationship is critically important. And again, it's a choice, it's a verb, the choice to be a part of that and see that. The number one responsibility that every team member in a salon has is to create a repeat guest. We create a repeat guest by providing an extraordinary salon experience. Where there's an extraordinary salon experience, there's been a connection, there's been a relationship established. And that guest walks away feeling better when they leave than when they came in, because you went the extra mile, because you saw them. Relationship with friends and family. Terry,
Don't you witness this a lot at the schools too? I mean, when we've got friends that come in, or sometimes, let's say I have this here. A friend will stop by, a friend of the business, to see an employee, and their energy, hi, how are you? Or a family member, hi, how are you? Yet they didn't say good morning to their teammates when they came in, or they didn't say hello to a guest that wasn't theirs. People notice that. I mean, how much energy are you gonna put into something? And when you're looking up, I know that we have our favorites. I mean, my best friend is my favorite, right? So if she walks in the door, of course I'm going to fuss over her, but it shouldn't be so obvious for someone to say, well, she loves her and she can't stand everybody else, right? So we have to make sure that we're protecting that. Also, we want relationships with people's friends and family that come into the salon. We want to become a household name to everybody. When we don't look up, I walked into a salon just recently, and it was it happened to be a salon that had many suites in it. And I walked in, and only one door was open of the first 5 suites. Some of the other ones were closed because they were with the guests. But this individual, third door in, was open. She had her chair in there. She had her back to the door, and she was on her phone. And I walked in. Now, I could have been a potential customer for her. I know she's waiting for her next guest, but there's a potential to say, hello, welcome here, how are you? Never even turned her head, never even looked at the front door. Heard the noise, heard that I arrived, and she probably assumed it was somebody else's. But when you work as a group of people where you can see each other, the guest doesn't know the difference. They expect you to be attached professionally, and they expect for you to have professional courtesies that you provide and extend to each other. And so that was a real issue for me, and I thought, I'm not going to say hello first. And yeah, never even made the effort. So you look at looking up when leaders are in the room. What can you learn from them? When the owner's in the room, do you look at them? When your coaches are in the room, are you looking up to say, how can I improve? How can I learn from the other people that have mastered something that I'm still working on? Or if I've mastered, how can I give back? How can I pay it forward to other people to help them become successful on their journey too? But when you're not looking up, how would you know how you could help? Or how do you know how you could give back? Or how do you know what you should be learning from someone if your head's always down and you're not present to everyone that you're around? The community, I think that you look at the community in which you are. Let's say you're in a strip mall. Should you know everyone and make the acquaintance of other people in your strip mall? Of course you should. Should you become a household name in your community? Yeah, you should. I mean, everyone should know that it's obvious. And there's times I walk in, they go, "You've been here before?" To me, that's the greatest compliment, that I had presence when I walked into that business. Steve and I usually talk before anyone else does. If we go to Target, we're saying hello to the people. We're saying hello to people that are shopping. We're talking to the person checking out. We're thanking them. Some people, they don't exchange a word. You hear absolutely nothing the whole time. And I think, man, how do you live in silence like that? And obviously they're not in an industry that requires for them to have their personality out there. Ours requires that. And
well, yeah, and we talk a lot about reputation. And I think reputation can certainly be a direct result of the relationships that we have in these areas, Terry, that you've outlined.
mm-hmm.
You know, your relationships established. They outline what your reputation is going to be within the community, within the neighbors of the various businesses. And so many times people say, well, how do we influence our reputation? Well, the influence is huge. But you certainly can influence it unless you pick your head up, unless you look up.
Well, and you certainly can't influence it in silence. I don't know how you do that. And if you look at how are we going to help people extend? I give this example all the time. And I'm telling you, it's how I was forced to create relationships. It was how I was forced to look up. It was how I was forced to put myself out there, and I didn't have a choice. And it goes back to, and I've said this many times, that when we were growing up, people would call homes, people in the neighborhood. This is how, remember, we didn't have computers, and everything was done heart to heart, eye to eye. And they would call and say, this is the Red Cross. Would your family be willing to help us collect in your neighborhood? Sure, my mom would say, absolutely. And then she'd get off the phone and tell me to go do it. She'd give me the envelope and say, go door to door and ask them if they'd be willing to donate to the Red Cross. Here's a couple things you have to say. And I'm telling you, the first couple times I thought I was going to faint. I was probably 11 or 12 years old, Emma's age right now. And everything, whether it was muscular dystrophy or the Cancer Society or a school fundraiser, my mom volunteered me. If someone died in the neighborhood, I had to go door to door and see if the neighborhood wanted to donate for the neighborhood to collect, to send flowers on behalf of the neighborhood. I'm surprised those people even opened the door for me. I was there so much.
I think that's how you got all those nice shoes.
Yeah, I got those nice shoes that way. Well, and you learned it from being a paper boy, right? You had to go door to door and say, hi, how are you? And, you know, people didn't want you to come up there because they didn't want to give you the $2 or whatever. But you learned how to present yourself. We don't have paper boys anymore. We don't have anyone going door to door. Heck, you've got families, when they have a raffle for their child, the child gives their raffle tickets to their parents and the parents do the work. People are forgetting that heart-to-heart, eye-to-eye creates business confidence. It creates business savvy and social savvy. And we're missing all that. They would rather send out a text or post on Facebook, hi, I'm collecting for the Cancer Society. Let me know if you want to give. And think they did enough. That's not how it works. That's not how you're going to engage people to join you in your cause. And I struggle with that. And you probably heard my voice come up because I have no patience for it. And when we were growing, when I first met Steve, and we would take the children out to dinner, Steve had 4 grown children, and they were little at the time, and they would say, I'm afraid to order from the waitress. And I'd say to them, okay, you don't order, you don't eat. And, well, I'm afraid I don't want to say cheeseburger out loud. Okay, then don't eat. And you have to teach people how to present themselves. So all of you who have people that you're leading, I want you to spend as much time on this topic or give it its valued time like you would a haircut, because this is critically important. It doesn't matter sometimes the technical skill. If you can't look eye to eye and show people your sincerity about being committed to this craft, it's unbelievable to me. And what would the kids do? Okay, I'm hungry, cheeseburger, right?
That's right.
And but that's how they learned it. And I think that you can keep people in silence and have them scared of their own shadow, or you can force them to get out there. And all of you have witnessed development. You might even witnessed it in yourself. But how did you learn it? Who brought the best out in you? Who forced it? You know, they don't do speech class in high school just because it's a good English class. They do speech class to help the individual put themselves out there and try to give them the confidence so they're not deathly afraid to speak in public the rest of their lives. I don't know. I get worked up over this. I mean, there's times that I teach at the school, and I'll come off stage and I'll look at him and say, my God, Steve, why did we take that little girl's money? She's not ready. I would have given her a year's worth of assignments and then say, come back. When you get your confidence up, I want you to go shake 1,000 hands and introduce yourself. Say, I'm going to beauty school. I want you to be a waitress for a while because it forces you to talk to people, and then come back to beauty school. I mean, some of them aren't ready to be there yet. The trade should come after the confidence, not the trade before the confidence, the people confidence. And that's what's lacking. And many times that's why they can't build behind the chair. You've got to teach that. And this is a heavy topic, looking up and changing everything that society is endorsing right now with social media, and have this one post be the responsibility of touching 500 people. And they'll say, did you see how many likes I got on that? I hit 3,200 people. Well, great. How many heart-to-heart conversations did you have this week? How many people did you thank them truly and shake their hands and really listen to someone. And when's the last time someone truly asked you, how are you today? And listened versus upping you in the conversation. You know, I don't feel good. I don't feel good either. And now we're off to the races and competing. So this is a big deal. And really, it can make a difference between a successful hairdresser and one that's not.
Well, not only can it does.
Well, yeah.
There are very, very few low energy, low communication hairdressers that
make it
intensely successful.
Right.
I'm not saying never, because there are. I can actually think of two of our graduates that are painfully quiet. One is already intensely successful behind the chair, but that's the exception. It's the outlier. It just is not the norm. The norm is you've got to have some personality. You've got to put yourself out there. Great risk brings great reward, and what greater risk than to put ourselves out there? And that's really, going back to the title of this, looking up. That's what looking up does. Looking up requires you to engage, and it's a risk. What happens if I look up and I say hello and they don't? Happens to me. Happens to me, at least several times a week, where I'm either walking down the street, walking through, a business, walking through
airport. Yep.
Yeah, and in my world, I've been taught that if you make eye contact, you speak.
That's right. Well, what do we do when we get on an airplane, Steve? First thing I do is I say hello. I cannot believe the amount of people that get on an airplane and don't acknowledge that a flight attendant when they come in. All they have to do is say, hi. What is so hard about that? They don't even want to look at her. And then I usually lean in and say hello to the captain. Hello, Captain. Safe travel today. Little humor, but I want to make sure I'm connected. And if he says, with little turbulence, where's the lady that is in, 6D? How's she doing back there? I want to make connection with him too. I want to honor that he's flying the airplane. I don't know how people walk around and not speak. And some of you might say, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is people want to know they're in good hands with someone. And the best way you do that is show your care factor to them.
That's right.
This last slide is something Robert Croming's always said. It's not about always being remembered. It's about never being forgotten. So how do we make sure our salon's not forgotten? How do we make our last impression when a guest is in there not be too casual, but one that says, thank you so much? How do we thank people? I mean, do you know the art of a handwritten note to thank someone for a gift or a kind gesture, or just for the handwritten note just isn't done anymore? I mean, even wedding thank yous are usually a picture of the bride and groom with a message on the back saying, thank you for your gift.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happened? How have we lost that? And what is it going to be in 10 years from now? No one speaking at all?
Could happen.
It could. But how do we protect that? I mean, I tell Steve all the time, first of all, don't text me. I'm okay if Steve and I text on pick up coffee. Okay, that's good for use of text, I think. But anything heavier than that, a husband and wife shouldn't have those conversations over texting. An employer and employee shouldn't have deep conversations on texting. A hairdresser shouldn't be just thanking their guest and thinking that's enough by a post or texting. Where's the meaning behind it? Where's the meaning behind it? And that's what I'm talking about here. It's about never being forgotten. And the beautiful thing about this is because we're such a people business and most people aren't getting this right anymore, do we have a great opportunity to shine so bright in the eyes of our guest? Absolutely. my goodness, we can stand out. If everyone was doing this right, you'd have to think of ideas beyond just to keep in the ball game. But this is powerful. I don't know.
So
I'm thinking heavy here, but
I know. But we get to this point of the conversation where we're coming to the end of the call, and where is our call to action
steps? Okay, our action steps is this is a great staff meeting. This is our action is we're gonna learn how and make it a non-negotiable that we're gonna say hello to each other. We're gonna make sure that we start saying how are you to every one of our guests and look in their eyes. We're going to start every meeting. Maybe we can create in our staff meeting, say before we get started, how are you? Maybe we do a temperature read on a scale of 1 to 10. Where's your stress this week? On a scale of 1 to 10, how did you balance everything? And we do little things to make sure we're showing our care factor to each other and to our customers. And we're never too busy to care. Never too busy to care. And that's the bottom line. Look up.
Absolutely.
Now, and you know what? I can tell you, even in our situation, we're busy people like all of you. All of us are busy. But what's the snapshot that our staff, that they're learning from us? What are they learning from us right now? And what is our children learning from us? What are our guests learning from us? And is our reputation, wow, they're never too busy to see how I am. They're never too busy to say goodnight, or they're never too busy to la la la. You know, that's what you want to be known for. And that's going to create loyalty. Remember, we said connection creates loyalty. It creates memories. It creates depth. There's so much to it. And I just spent 4 days with my best friends growing up. You know what you did for 4 days? We laughed, we ate, we slept. That's all we did for 4 days. Same stupid stories of 45 years. Couldn't have been more relaxing. Couldn't have been more genuine and easy. Nothing forced about it. And that's what you want in your businesses. Very easy, very natural, and very, very high touch in care factor. Look up, everyone. Thank you so much for spending this hour with us. I don't know the next topic off the top of my head, but we'll see you in September. Once again, thank you for your understanding of this July message being delayed. Oh, the next message is September 7th, and it's great team meetings. That'll be a fun one. Thank you, everyone. Have
Wonderful.
a great
Thanks so
month
much.
till we talk to you again. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.